like, is there any exception to the law? Well, oh yeah, we have to like the negative that makes sense. Or like the hundred. Yeah, I have one actually. Yeah. How you doing, Alan? Tired. Good.
You're tired for good reason.
Erratic sleep schedule. Nothing bad, well, it's all down to our time sleep. Individual components of all the control. Yeah, there are. All you do is careful controlling the voltage and voltage is like the antibiotics right now, so I don't have anything else that makes it. Yeah.
Sometimes if I go to bed too early, I go right to sleep. And I'll wake up at 3.
Yeah.
Is this really a good idea or not?
Yeah. I know you're eager. You're gonna make something out of me. So I just want to fight ready for you. When you started.
Hello, how are you? I get a lot of people who talk to me and you're talking to Peggy's daughter. Well,
That's kind of those.
I think so.
They're not chin diapers. Keep your nose covered.
Please stand in body or spirit as we sing our gathering hymn number 389, Gathered Here.
We'll sing it in unison once, and then we will split into 2 parts.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here draw the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Hillsborough. We are an open and welcoming congregation, so whoever you are, member, friend, or guest, we are glad you are here. I would like to thank everyone who has made this worship celebration possible. It is truly a labor of love. Thank you very much, as always, to our music coordinator, Aviva Enoch, to the songbirds who will be performing the offertory today, and to our religious exploration teachers and coordinators. My name is Caroline Welty, and I'm the worship associate today. And we also welcome our speaker and treasurer, Jeff Welty, who will provide us with a message about finding your center through his sermon entitled, "Is Finding Your Center Like Going to Disney World?" Before we create our sacred space and begin worship, let us take a moment to share any announcements. Does anybody have some?
So the Songbirds, our singing group, we have our regular first Sunday practice, not tonight, but next Sunday evening from 7 to 8:30 p.m. And anybody who's interested is welcome to join us. If you would like to know more, you can see me after the service, and I have music I can give you if you're planning to come that you can look over in advance. Thank you.
I'm Diane Phillips, and I'm the listening ear for today.
Good morning, I'm Patty O'Connor, and I wanted to make an announcement about our coffee hour. We have a great solid core group of people who come and set up coffee on a sign-up basis, and we really appreciate it. We love you for it. Amy Dark is going to revamp our instructions for preparation of coffee hour and what to do and how to do it and so forth, so that'll be helpful. To those of you who can't stay to make the coffee or clean up afterwards, we'd love to have your baked goods or some donation, because fellowship can provide some food, but it has to be non-perishable, and that's not always the best food. So if you're a baker, we'd love to have you drop something off for us. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lou Goodall, and we're having a meeting at 11:45 today of the ministerial search team, well, not search team, but we're trying to figure out a good survey to send out to everybody, and we're in the final stages of that, so we want to finish that up today. So it's at 11:45 after the service. Thank you.
Hi y'all, I'm Amy Dark, the program administrator here, and I want to remind everyone, if you have not yet signed up for Chalice Circles, please do so. These are small group meetings. They're starting in February and they're gonna run through June. It's once a month and it's super fun and important. We have 2 that are gonna begin. You can sign up through the newsletter, or you can email me or talk to me and I can get you signed up. But it's time, y'all, sign up, please.
Okay, if there are no more announcements, let's silence our cell phones and ready ourselves for worship together by reminding ourselves of who we are and why we gather. We are a community of liberal, open-minded people who strive to connect with one another in love. We are a people defined by covenant, not creed. That means that we have committed to a way of being with one another rather than to a statement of belief. To that end, we support each other in spiritual growth and deepening of faith. We challenge one another to find more love, both inside ourselves and in the world, and today, we welcome you with open arms to our house of worship. The chalice is the symbol of our faith. It represents our search for truth and light within all people. By lighting a chalice, we ritualize creating our sacred space.
Our chalice lighting words today are by Reverend Joan Johnson Lewis, in touch with those unique lights of our own being. As we light our candles this week, we imagine the lights that shine within each of us. We each have intention, we each have experience, we each have thoughts, we each have feelings, and we each have wisdom. May these candles remind us to be in touch with those best and most unique lights of our own being, and to bring them into this room today and into all that we do in the world. please stand in body or spirit as we sing our opening hymn number 184, Be Ye Lamps Unto Yourself. Aviva's going to play it through once, and then we're going to sing it 3 times through.
Is a welcoming community where we find connection, a sharing community where our joys are celebrated, and a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. Each Sunday, we take some time to reflect on the special happenings that have occurred this week among our members and friends. Some choose to share aloud, while others choose to remain silent, and here we make room for both. For those of you who would like to share aloud, please take a moment before we begin to center yourself and collect your thoughts, so that what you share this morning is personal, heartfelt, and brief. Please come forward, tell us your name, and share what is in your heart. When you are finished, you may release a stone into the vase on the altar. I invite you to come to the altar and release a stone into the vase in silence while Aviva plays Dark of Winter. After everyone is seated, you are all invited to join in singing one verse of the hymn, and the words are printed in your order of service. We hold all these things within the heart of this community, both spoken and unspoken, by remaining silent for a moment as we consider what has been shared and how we might respond. May the community respond with amen and blessed be. Now we will sing the children to class with the children's blessing in the back of the gray hymn.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
It's great to be back at UUCH after missing a week. A week ago, our family was at the happiest place on earth, Disney World. Now, people enjoy Disney World in different ways, but we've been a few times, and we usually approach it as a competitive sport. We are up at 5:45 a.m. to meet the other tourists to the best rides. We study and we strategically deploy Disney's tools like the Genie Plus ride reservations and the individual Lightning Lane system. All of this is in service of bypassing lines and racing from attraction to attraction. We typically walk 20,000 steps per day or more, and we aim to maximize the experiences that we can cram in. We see other families baking in the sun as they wait in hour-long lines while we are blitzing by, and we feel something between pity and schadenfreude. I'm not saying this is the most mature way to do Disney, but it's how we do it. Naturally, I didn't make much progress on this homily during the 5 days that we were there. We were busy all day long, and we dropped into bed exhausted each night. This month's theme is finding your center, and for the better part of a week, Disney was my center. But as I've come down off my Disney sugar high, the experience has provided me with a couple of pertinent reflections. And the first one is about finding your center. Finding things is a big part of a Disney trip. Rides, restaurants, bathrooms, stores, shows, you are constantly looking for something. The parks are huge, some people use their phones, some ask staff for directions. I fancy myself a bit of a navigator, so I wield an old-fashioned paper map. But whatever your methods, you're generally looking for something that's in a fixed place. That Star Wars themed restaurant isn't gonna move around on you. In other words, finding things at Disney World is a wayfinding exercise, or perhaps a process of discovery. Where is the entrance to that princess meet and greet? Sometimes people talk about finding your center just like that, as if we think hard enough, or we meditate well enough, or if we read the right self-help book, in other words, if we have the right map, we'll find a set of values or interests that is fixed and buried deeply within us. But let me suggest a different model. Finding our center may not be as simple as looking for a predefined thing in an established location, because finding our center may be as much a process of choice as it is a process of discovery. The ancient Greek philosophers hit this particular nail on the head. Aristotle wrote that virtues are formed in man by his doing the actions. I'm not sure how Aristotle thought women formed virtues, but leaving that aside, his point is that we don't just discover that we're compassionate or hardworking or trustworthy. We don't just find that we're loving parents or value the environment. We choose these things, and we choose them through the actions that we take. Aristotle actually never wrote the words frequently attributed to him that we are what we repeatedly do, but he likely would have approved of the sentiment. We don't just find our center, we build it through the choices that we make. That brings me to a bit of a detour. Perhaps the most frequently offered career advice is do what you love. And it's a nice sentiment, but I have to say, I'm not completely on board. Partly that's for the obvious reasons. A lot of us love to do things that are not really viable career paths. A recent survey suggests that 65% of American adults enjoy playing video games, which is great, but for most of us, not a viable career activity. When I was a kid, I really liked to play soccer, but Real Madrid didn't come calling, and if that had been my career path, I'd still be living in my parents' basement. But my more substantial reservation about that particular nugget of career advice is that it suggests that what you love to do is fixed, and there's no room for choice. You like video games, so just go with that. But when it comes to our professional lives, at least, I see things a bit differently. The Japanese have the word shokunin, which translates to something like artisan, but resonates a bit more deeply, perhaps along the lines of a master of the craft. And this concept of shokunin was popularized a few years back in the well-regarded movie Jiro Dreams of Sushi, which chronicled the life of Jiro Ono, generally recognized as the world's greatest sushi chef. At age 89, when the movie was made, he was still going every day to his already famous Michelin-starred sushi restaurant in the Tokyo subways. In his view, being a shokunin does involve being passionate about what you do, but ultimately it's based on choice. You choose your profession. You decide to devote yourself to it. You make it a a central part of your life. Gerald loves what he does, but not necessarily because he found some innate passion for sushi and only sushi, but because he decided that sushi would be an outlet for his creativity and a vehicle for his pursuit of excellence. We got a little far afield from Disney there, so back to the point. Disney-inspired thought number 1 is that finding your center, like finding your profession perhaps, is not just a process of discovery or wayfinding, but also a process of choice. Disney-inspired thought number 2 relates to how we go about making these big choices in our lives. Because one famous Greek philosopher deserves another, I'm going to go with Plato here. Plato famously said that the unexamined life is not worth living. So what life is worth living? Well, according to Plato, it's a life in which one interrogates one's beliefs and behaviors, ensuring that each is aligned with the ultimate goal of goodness or wisdom. Plato spent his own adult life interrogating his own beliefs and actions as he taught philosophy in the school he founded in Athens and on the streets to all comers. He thought and he taught and he made pointed criticisms of those in power based upon his conclusions. This did have a downside, which is that he was sentenced to death for corrupting the youth of Athens. But Plato knew that was a potential outcome, and he felt that it was worth living the type of life that he sought. What I'm trying to say about Plato is that he made very intentional and conscious choices about how to live. And in order to make those choices, he spent quiet time in deep reflection or discussing the most important topics with others. His life was basically the opposite of a Disney trip, where every single minute is filled with bright lights and upbeat music and activities and entertainment, and maybe the occasional jolt of financial reality when you realize you can't send your kids to college anymore, but hey, you wrote that great new Avatar ride. Anyhow, the point isn't specific to Disney trips. Yes, they are a distraction from the hard work of finding or choosing our centers and aligning our behavior with our values, but there are lots of other distractions and diversions available. Social media and the internet certainly play that role for many of us, but even before the internet existed, we didn't all live like Plato or Thoreau. We found distraction in murder mystery books, or alcohol, or work, or travel. Just maintaining a busy life can be a barrier to living the sort of examined and reflective life that at least Plato would advocate for us. Good news, though, even busy people have options. I doubt that most of us are any busier than Bill Gates was when he was running Microsoft. But despite the burdens of running a huge and hugely successful technology company, he took what he called Think Weeks, typically twice a year, where he would sequester himself in a cabin in the woods and read and think deeply about his company and himself and what would come next. Maybe you can't go to a cabin for a week, but you might be able to find an hour to walk in the woods or some time to have coffee and have a meaningful talk with a friend. Or maybe it's just a few minutes when you journal each morning before the rest of the family wakes up. The point is that whatever your technique, finding or choosing your center doesn't come naturally in the press of everyday business. It's something that requires intention and attention. And if we don't provide those, we won't find the clarity that many of us, at least, hope to have. And that investment of time and attention, it needs to be ongoing. It's not a one and you're done job. I have a lot in common with 30-year-old me, but 30-year-old me wasn't a husband and a father, and those things are a big part of my identity now. And I don't know what 70-year-old me is going to be like, but I suspect I'll have a few values and priorities that I haven't encountered just yet, and it'll take me some time to figure those out. Anyhow, ending where we began, we had a good trip to Disney World. I didn't find my center. I didn't make any important choices. I didn't reflect deeply on my values or priorities, and that's okay. Disney isn't the time and place for those particular activities. But I will leave you with this. I spent dozens of hours over months planning our trip, and every hour I spent paid off in a better, smoother, more enjoyable, and more fun experience for me and our family. Because Disney World's complicated, and if you just show up and hope for the best, you aren't likely to have the best time that you can have. But life is way more complicated than Disney World. It requires way more choices to be made way better with way more significant consequences. And a successful journey through life probably requires more time spent thinking and reflecting and planning, even than a trip to Disney World.
Each week, we take a monetary offering to support our social justice work in the community, and this support comes in the form of donations. Today, our community partner we will share the collection with is the Minister's Discretionary Fund, and you may donate by putting cash or a check in the basket, make checks out to UUCH and put plate in the subject line. You may also donate online by using the QR code on the order of service, or going to our website, or using the Vanco app. And the songbirds will be performing the offertory music. Please join me in our prayer of collective gratitude found in your order of service. For the love that surrounds us every morning, for the friends beside us, and for the generous gifts just received, let us be truly grateful. Please rise and body your spirit as we sing our closing hymn, number 1028, The Fire of Commitment. closing words today come from the Reverend Karen Anderson, entitled The Daring of Our Intentions. May we dare to live from the center of our being. May we make our own choices before others' choices make us. May the fire that burns in our belly light our way, and may that personal commitment to our own individual lights make the world shine anew. Now we will extinguish the chalice. Please join me in saying the chalice extinguishing words printed in your orders of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment.